What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. I got a little bit of extra for you. It is November 13th, 2021. I am JD from New York, and this is the Off the Script venue. We have a big night tonight. Full gear. I will be live on YouTube with Jesse. We will be going over the show in its entirety and breaking everything down from what I think on paper is the best AEW card from top to bottom that they've ever done. We will see if it actually lives up to that high standard. As we all know, these AEW pay-per-views are absolutely incredible every time they are on pay-per-view. So I will be live tonight. It's going to be a long night. I think the show is probably going to be around 4.5 hours, and it will be a very late live stream for you guys on this Saturday night. So make sure you guys set your notifications. You will see that hopefully in your subscription boxes a little bit later on in the afternoon. So make sure you RSVP to the venue for what should be a great live stream. I also want to thank everybody who showed up to the House of Glory show last night. Born Again. I had the absolute honor and privilege of calling yet another amazing red match, this time against Will Ospreay with the Solid Monster. We killed it. I know some people reached out to me. A lot of people, in fact, reached out to me about audio issues. That was completely on Fight, but I was very confident in what we did, and we had an absolute blast calling that main event, man. It was incredible. You gotta be there to experience a House of Glory main event. They do it like nobody else in New York City, and we have an absolute banger on December 11th. The amazing Red versus AEW's Malachi Black. Unbelievable. Tickets are on sale now. Once again, we'll be on Fight TV. Solid Monster and I hope that you guys are able to join us once again on Fight TV. There will be no full-fledged podcast this weekend. There's just so much going on that I want to kind of consolidate it into these shorter form podcasts. I will be pushing these specific ones out to the feed on iTunes and on Spotify and on Podbean and all the other audio platforms. There's just so much going on with the House of Glory show in preparation for that, and then Full Gear tonight. I don't really want to hunker down and do another 2-hour show on top of the pay-per-view because it's going to take so much energy and time to do the live stream later. So we're going to do these extras today and tomorrow, and I got plenty of stuff to go over for you guys, including this big story that is making the rounds about Keith Lee. Apparently, he said in a statement that WWE did not help him with his medical bills when he was out for 7 months recovering from COVID-19 complications. So we will go over that. Tomorrow's story, we're going to go over the Tony Khan apologizing for remarks about an all-women's pay-per-view, which I thought was absolutely fucking ridiculous. We will talk about that. Also today, WWE has high hopes on Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. Where is Toni Storm, and why hasn't Toni Storm been used before last night's SmackDown, where last night apparently she showed up and challenged Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship? Also, Corey Graves, is he coming out of retirement? We're going to go over some happenings on SmackDown last night, including some omissions from the men's and women's Survivor Series team. And is Von Wagner on the main roster now? I don't know. Given Vince McMahon's love for Von Wagner, I would not be surprised. So we will go over that, including Ricochet and Walter in relationship situations. Ricochet obviously dumped again, I assume. They were on the splits anyway again, removing himself from the Casey Catanzaro situation. And now Walter apparently split from his wife. But the Walter situation probably is going to be in the wrestling landscape and WWE landscape. Probably better for them, because the reason why apparently he was not open to working the States was because of his wife that he just left. So we will go over that story and all that today right here on Off the Script. Make sure you guys follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. Make sure you guys go check out all the other content that has been uploaded. This week there's an extra thrown in there. Monday Night Raw podcast on Monday. We got the AEW Dynamite live stream on Wednesday. Make sure you guys go check all that stuff out on the homepage right now. hit that join button as well. Become a VIP right here in the venue. You guys get those off-the-script badges to show off your VIP status, those custom emotes that you guys can use in the live streams and in the comment section. So make sure you guys hit that join button as well. And again, hit that subscribe button and hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 1,500 likes on today's Off the Script Extra. Let's start off with the SmackDown happenings coming out of last night's show. Sami Zayn was unfortunately removed from Team SmackDown at Survivor Series. Now, Jeff Hardy defeated Sami Zayn this week on Friday Night SmackDown. As a result of the loss, Sami Zayn has been pulled from this year's Men's Survivor Series team. The match was made earlier in the show by Adam Pearce, who demanded to have Hardy removed from Team SmackDown. Sami Zayn demanded Jeff Hardy to be removed from Team SmackDown, not Adam Pearce. WWE has not said who will replace Sami Zayn at Survivor Series, but earlier on SmackDown, it was also announced Aliyah was pulled from the Team SmackDown side on the women's team. On Monday Night Raw, Adam Pearce replaced Dominic Mysterio with Bobby Lashley on the Raw Men's Survivor Series team. So Aliyah was removed and Sami Zayn was removed. Now, as far as why, I have no idea. It seems like WWE may be backtracking on some of these Survivor Series picks, but this is what you get when you announce these teams on social media in a bang, bang, rush, rush fashion. No thought went into it, clearly, because WWE announced this last weekend only to show up on this current week's Raw and remove Dominic Mysterio only to put in Bobby Lashley. It's almost as if they forgot Bobby Lashley was on the Monday Night Raw roster, and then when they looked over the Survivor Series teams, they asked themselves, well, why isn't Bobby Lashley on the team? And it didn't really make any sense at all. And if you look at the Monday Night Raw Survivor Series team, they were all SmackDown about 5 weeks ago. So how much loyalty and allegiance can those guys have to Monday Night Raw when they were on SmackDown 5 weeks ago? And Bobby Lashley, I mean, him not even being on the team in the first place is fucking ridiculous because he's the only one that is true, if you want to go by the Survivor Series brand-to-brand loyalty shit, the only one on the team that is pro-Raw, and he was the WWE champion for the majority of this year. So the fact that he wasn't chosen in the first place when they announced these teams is absolutely ludicrous. Now, Sami Zayn and Aliyah, I have no idea. WWE hasn't done shit with Aliyah. She should have never even been on the team in the first place. I don't know why Toni Storm wasn't chosen for that spot, but that's just my honest opinion. Aliyah hasn't won a match outside of Friday night, where she got to win in a big six-woman tag team match. Sami Zayn, you know, it always seems like Sami Zayn's getting the short end of the stick. He's such a good heel, and I don't think WWE really appreciates what Sami Zayn brings to the table. And the word going around is that NXT's Von Wagner, you guys know Von Wagner, put the lotion in the basket, Von Wagner. Yeah, Von Wagner. He is now supposedly a bodyguard for Adam Pearce, and it looks like Von Wagner may be getting a Survivor Series spot. That's the going rumor. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think that would be absolutely ridiculous. The more glaring issue with Von Wagner maybe being on the main roster and maybe being on the Survivor Series team is it pretty much seals the fate for Kyle O'Reilly. It's either one thing or another. WWE's not interested in Kyle O'Reilly, which I don't think there is any interest on their end to bring him back. And Kyle O'Reilly is pretty much done with WWE because this makeshift team of Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner was one of the most forced tag teams of the recent NXT stuff that we've seen, or the recent WWE stuff that we've seen when they just pair two guys randomly together and call them a tag team. There was no chemistry there, absolutely polar opposites, and this all but seals the fate that Kyle O'Reilly is done, as the rumors are that his contract is up in about 2 or 3 weeks with WWE. Bobby Fish is already insinuating that, you know, he misses his tag team partner and that there's nobody better than Kyle O'Reilly without mentioning his name in interviews. That's the guy I want as my tag team partner. I mean, they would fit like a glove in AEW's tag team division. So I just find it to be ridiculous that Vince McMahon is just doing what he wants, and all these other people have gone away from WWE, and here we are stuck with somebody that nobody knows anything about in Von Wagner, and this is the type of guy that's getting an opportunity. Nobody knows anything about him, and I honestly think if they do, there's not going to be any interest in Von Wagner. He's as generic as they come, really. So that's what happened on SmackDown there, with Sami Zayn and Aliyah being removed from their Survivor Series teams. Now, the other thing that happened on SmackDown, Roman Reigns apparently lost to Xavier Woods, which was fucking ridiculous. Now, he didn't take a pinfall loss, but Roman Reigns lost by disqualification. I don't think that eases the pain there of Roman Reigns losing. Roman Reigns should not lose any match in any way as long as he is the Universal Champion. Honestly. I don't like the interference by the Usos last night. I don't. I don't like the fact that the Usos interjected themselves in a match with Roman Reigns and Xavier Woods, because you know what it tells me? From a viewer's standpoint that's been watching this show consistently and regularly every single week, as far as what a viewer looks at, they look at, oh, Roman Reigns isn't good enough on his own to beat Xavier Woods of the New Day. I don't think that should be a theme at all with Roman Reigns or anybody. Roman Reigns can legitimately beat anybody in that ring without the help of the Usos or anybody else. So that's the one thing I took away from that. Oh, he needs the help of the Usos because he can't beat Xavier Woods one-on-one by himself. He got crowned king of the ring, apparently. They stole his crown, and yet there's still no Survivor Series build between him and Big E for this champion versus champion match for Survivor Series. Nothing. Not one inkling of a build with Big E at all. Maybe. We got one Raw and one SmackDown before Survivor Series next week. Maybe we see Big E somewhere in this thing, and we finally get some build going into Survivor Series, which right now, this is probably the worst pay-per-view build of the entire year for WWE. At this point, I don't even know why we're holding a Survivor Series, but that is what happened on SmackDown in the most brief way I could give it to you from Friday night, as I was not able to watch the show live and do a live stream for you guys, but that is what happened on Survivor Series, or on SmackDown for Survivor Series. WWE has high hopes for Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. Now, the duo of Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams have, I don't want to say taken NXT by storm, but WWE is very high. Shawn Michaels is very high on Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes is the new NXT North American champion. He beat Isaiah Swerve Scott back from the October 12th episode of NXT. The duo actually worked a dark match on last night's SmackDown, and it was a losing effort against the Viking Raiders, but the loss doesn't take away from what WWE thinks of Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. John Alba took to Twitter today, where he said that he spoke to people in WWE who said there are high hopes for both Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes, with those he spoke to saying they looked like stars on SmackDown in their dark match against the Viking Raiders. He says, and I quote, "In talking to some people in WWE last night, there are high hopes for the combo of Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. The two worked a dark match last night on SmackDown. Very favorable opinions from those I spoke with, several saying they looked like stars. As I've said in the past here on Twitter, Carmelo Hayes has a lot of support from higher-ups in NXT, especially coming out of the Adam Cole match. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago, and I stand by it. I think a spring season call-up and push is very, very possible," end quote. Hayes and Williams were not the only NXT stars to have dark match appearances on SmackDown before the show last night. Dakota Kai, Cora Jade, and Dexter Lumis also made appearances in dark matches before SmackDown. I don't want this to be another thing, and I get that WWE is looking to go more youthful, and I get that WWE is looking to go a little bit more in the cool direction, and maybe Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams gives off that younger vibe, that cooler vibe. Carmelo Hayes is, what is he, 25 years old? 26 years old? Well, why are we calling him up in the spring season? He just won the NXT North American Championship. I don't get it. If WWE wants to hold off another year on Carmelo Hayes, then I get it. But you're going to call him up in 3 to 4 months, 5 months, 6 months to the main roster? Why? Why would you do that? There are other people on that roster right now that probably deserve a main roster call-up. Johnny Gargano being one of them. We don't know if Johnny Gargano is going to be with WWE past December as his contract is up. What about Santos Escobar? Why are we not talking about Legado del Fantasma being called up and the matches that they could have on the main roster and the matches that Santos Escobar can have? Oh, that's right. Santos Escobar's 37 years old. He's well past his prime, and there's no way to make money off of a fucking Santos Escobar, right? I don't get it. Carmelo Hayes, I don't give a shit how WWE looks at him or what higher-ups or what Shawn Michaels has to say about Carmelo Hayes. There have been people on that brand that sat there for 4 years not needing 6 months of time in NXT. Shinsuke Nakamura, Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, Bobby Roode, right? They got their characters down, their gimmicks down, their attitude and personas down in NXT. And once that was done, you noticed it, and you could have automatically plugged it anywhere on the main roster. Carmelo Hayes isn't really ready for a main roster call-up. The promo skills are lacking. I don't really find them all that entertaining. I don't think they've really honed what they've been given right now. Are they heel? Are they babyface? Are they going to be a tag team moving forward? Are they going to work as a tag team while Carmelo's working as a singles with the North American Championship? I don't know. I don't think somebody like that should be called up to the main roster. You got a Dexter Lumis who's also ready to be called up to the main roster. He's also another guy that you could plug in anywhere. I loved the Dexter Lumis that we got before this Indy Hartwell marriage bullshit that they did with Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae and The Way, right? Austin Theory was a part of that as well. Dexter Lumis and the creepy, psychotic character that he played, that was brilliant. It really was. And when he's in the ring, he's an incredible professional wrestler. He's very good at what he does. No, but we're talking about Carmelo Hayes and Trick fucking Williams. Bout it, right? Give me a break. There are other people that should be ahead of a Carmelo Hayes. Stop the favoritism. Like, I don't understand it. Like, everybody wants to talk about NXT like they know what the fuck is going on. When I watched NXT, and I was the only content creator on here reviewing NXT, A, I got shit on for it. B, oh, it's only a niche audience. Meanwhile, now everybody wants to talk about fucking NXT. When you watch NXT out 1 hour, when they were on the WWE Network, and you watched somebody there for months, years, you just knew by watching that they were ready to get called up. And when it didn't happen, you started to question why. Do any of you feel like when you watch NXT, Carmelo Hayes is ready for the main roster? I know I don't. And I think I'm pretty sane and logical in that observation. I don't get that feeling. I certainly don't get that feeling with Trick Williams. Stop rushing call-ups. You will know when they're ready. The viewer will know when they're ready. This guy hasn't done jack shit with that North American Championship. That North American Championship should be treated just as important as the NXT Championship, and he should have a very lengthy reign as champion. Get him in there, have him defended, have him win consistently, and then maybe by SummerSlam, maybe we can start talking about Carmelo Hayes making a call-up to the main roster. Stop the favoritism and stop rushing people up when we all know they are not ready. WWE, are they ready to bring Corey Graves out of retirement? I hope not. I love Corey Graves. I think he does an excellent job in the role that he's been given the last several years. But is WWE ready to bring Corey Graves out of retirement? Corey Graves is obviously getting the itch to wrestle again. He mentioned on Twitter, Short but sweet, he says, and I quote, "I kind of want to wrestle again." I guess this is all stemming from his 15-second reign as 24/7 champion on Monday Night Raw, where I believe he won it and lost it to Byron Saxton. The title ultimately was passed around amongst the VIP catering crew until Reggie won it back on Monday night. Get rid of it. It is absolutely embarrassing. This isn't the first time Graves has talked about a possible in-ring return. Last year, during an interview with Edge on After the Bell, Graves said the WWE 24 documentary inspired him about Edge. Graves says, "It was an awesome look, and you and I have gotten along for quite some time, and watching it, honestly, man, it was inspiring." And I would say at 2-3 different points, I went, "Man, I live in Pittsburgh now. I should go find Dr. Maroon. It just gave me that urge to do this all over again. I don't know whether or not that's a possibility, but the thought was planted in my brain for quite some time." End quote. Shortly after those comments, Graves' brother, Sam Adonis, tweeted that he and Graves trained together, and it was the first time Graves had done anything in the ring in years. He announced his retirement on December 11th, 2014, due to concussion issues. Upon his retirement, he joined the NXT broadcast team, moved up to the main roster in 2016, and has been a staple on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown ever since. You know, I find it to be quite inspiring that someone like that, even after all the injuries, still wants to get back in there and get on the horse and get back in that ring and perform. Number one, it is a very respectable thing on behalf of Corey Graves to want to get back in there and do it again, knowing how dangerous it could be. Number two, and I don't mean this in any snide way towards Corey Graves, if he wants to wrestle, it needs to make sense. If he wants to wrestle, it needs to be a one-off, and it needs to be something special that really makes sense and really is going to get the people excited about seeing him in the ring. I don't think Corey Graves really did much of anything in NXT. Then he retired. We all felt sorry for him. He found this new lease on life and found his true talent, which is his voice and his quick-witted nature to call a wrestling match and make it entertaining and be knowledgeable and learn everything about what it takes to be a color commentator. That's his true role. I don't know if he did anything in WWE where it would get people excited to see him in the wrestling ring again. I don't know. But if it does happen, it needs to make sense. The storyline needs to be sensible, logical, and it needs to be somewhat serious. There needs to be an emotional investment there to get him out of the announce desk or off the announce desk and into the ring. And the fucked up thing is, and again, I don't mean this towards Corey Graves in any snide manner at all, WWE's not going to put him in the ring. Number one, for the concussion thing, they take that very serious. If Samoa Joe's not back in the ring yet, then Corey Graves is not getting back in the ring. I'm sorry. For some reason, WWE takes the concussion thing very, very seriously. More so than anybody else. But here we are with Bryan Danielson wrestling at a high competitive level. So I'm not saying he can't come back. I'm just not saying WWE is going to bring him back or they're quick to bring him back. The thing with Corey Graves is if WWE feels like they can't make any money off Corey Graves wrestling, then they're not going to give clearance to Corey Graves to wrestle. The only time Corey Graves would wrestle is, I feel, if his contract is up, he tells WWE, listen, I love what I do for you guys. I love the commentator role, but I want to explore more. I want to get back out there. I want to go wrestle. If AEW or MLW or Impact is going to allow me to wrestle, then I'm going to go and wrestle for them. WWE, the only time they will allow Corey Graves to wrestle is if they could find money in him wrestling, or if they want him bad enough to not let him go somewhere else, and then with their backs against the wall, give him clearance to maybe train, test him out, see what happens, and then maybe get him in the ring as a one-off. But I don't think Corey Graves is going to come back as a full-time performer. I really don't. But it is very respectable that he wants to come back. He wants to go in there and train. He wants to start taking bumps again. And the whole 24/7 title thing with him holding a championship, no matter what the championship is, it actually added to the itch on top of the original itch that he had when he talked about Edge and how inspiring his 24 documentary was. So that's my take on Corey Graves. If WWE wants to make money on Corey Graves, or if they find money in Corey Graves, then he'll wrestle. If WWE's back is against the wall and they don't want to lose Corey Graves and he wants to wrestle for them, then they may consider it. But right now, the way we see it, I don't see WWE giving clearance to Corey Graves to wrestle at all. Ricochet. Apparently, him and Casey Catanzaro are finished again. There was a time in wrestling when you did not see many long-term couples in the business. The main reason is that because there weren't many women involved in the business. Times have changed. The schedule is grueling, right? If you work somewhere else and you're with another company here and your girlfriend is with another company there and the touring schedule is very rigorous, it's very difficult to see each other. Even in WWE, you're on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. You know, you really can't see somebody that you're dating in NXT quite frequently. You know, Zelina Vega and Aleister Black, they were on separate brands, and they had a difficult time seeing each other as well. But there are more couples now, dating, engaged, married, than ever before in WWE. And today, Ricochet revealed on Instagram that he and NXT 2.0 ring announcer Samantha Irvin are an item. Ricochet posted a photo of himself and Irvin in front of what appears to be an elevator, and she commented, and I quote, "I love you." Irvin later sent out the same photo through her social media accounts. For those who are unfamiliar with Irvin, real name Samantha Johnson, she signed with the company in April, immediately began working on 205 Live. Prior to WWE, she was a semi-finalist on America's Got Talent, and she appeared on Fox's I Can See Your Voice. And she also sang the national anthem for Major League Baseball. So there you go. I guess Ricochet is winning in all aspects of WWE except for what he does on TV. So congratulations to them. This is not the only TMZ bullshit that we have on the show tonight. Apparently, Walter is dating Ginny from NXT UK, and he split with his wife. Now, this one actually has serious complications behind it, and serious in a good way for WWE. There's a lot of talk right now about Walter finally making the move to the United States. Up until now, he's only worked on a few United States shows because he wanted to stay close to his family, his wife, and his homeland in Germany. However, there have been some changes in his personal life that have led him to reconsider his stance on working full-time in the United States. Walter is said to be getting a divorce, and he is now dating NXT UK star Ginny. The couple's made their relationship public on their social media accounts. Walter's been wrestling matches against Cesaro as of late, but those matches took place on a recent WWE UK tour. But it looks like this may be the one thing that fans are looking for to finally get Walter on the main roster or even in NXT 2.0, which I don't think necessarily fits his entire demeanor. At least Walter in the United States a little bit more frequently, a little bit more often. That's great. It really is. Not great about him getting a divorce and whatnot, but as long as the man's happy, who am I to say anything? Or who are you to say anything? But as far as him wrestling in the United States, I mean, I think us as a fan base collectively have wanted this for quite a while. And the matches that we could get from Walter on the main roster, I mean, they are insane. Absolutely insane. Walter versus Riddle, Walter versus Orton, Walter versus, I would have said Keith Lee or Karrion Kross, but they're not there anymore. Walter versus AJ Styles, Walter versus Cesaro, Walter versus Finn Balor, right? Walter versus Drew McIntyre, Walter versus Bobby Lashley, Walter versus Shinsuke Nakamura, Walter versus Roman Reigns. And you talk about, and Walter is young enough to, in my honest opinion, put in a situation where he could be the one to beat Roman. Roman Reigns doesn't have many people on this main roster that are believable enough to take him down and end his reign as the tribal chief, the head of the table. Walter fits that and checks off every one of those boxes. Walter versus Brock Lesnar. Can you imagine the carnage that those two men would do together? Walter versus anybody, really, If you came to me and told me Walter was the best wrestler in the world, I would not even argue your opinion on that. Walter and everything that he's done is so perfect and so strategic. You can see that Walter loves what he does. But the thing is, the only thing that concerns me about all this, oh my God, this is so exciting. Oh my God, he'd fit like a glove in certain situations with these men I just mentioned. The only thing that I'm concerned with is, like everything else, WWE finally gets what they want in Walter. He becomes a slave to the WWE machine, and they try and alter him in some way or change him in some way to a point where he doesn't even resemble the Walter that we knew and the Walter that we fell in love with. That's something that I don't want to see. And if that's WWE's mentality right now, I don't want to see him anywhere near Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon. Just like Keith Lee and Karrion Kross and the way that they fucked them up, they didn't need to change anything regarding both of those guys. And I'm here to tell you right now, and I'm sure this is not the only time I will utter this to you guys. If you're bringing in Walter, there's absolutely nothing that needs to be changed about that man. You let him go out there and do the same exact thing that he did in NXT UK on his rare appearance on NXT here in the States. You change nothing about what that man does. And you have money printed. You have a man that is going to be one of the few, very few legitimate threats to Roman Reigns and him losing that Universal Championship. Simple. Absolutely nothing needs to be changed about Walter. But there's no reason for us to trust these people. Absolutely no reason for us to trust these people. That's the one thing I'm concerned about most. And right now, if you're happy about this, I get it. But you should keep that at a minimum right now. Just because of what they did. History always repeats itself in WWE when it comes to these fucking imbeciles running and writing these shows. They've learned nothing. They will do what they want at any given moment. They will do what they want with anybody. Walter is not excluded here. That's the one thing I'm concerned about. But congratulations to him. If we see him more in the United States, fine. How you use him? I don't want to see him on TV every fucking week. That's another thing. I don't want to see him on TV every week. Walter's the type of guy, not necessarily saying he needs to go a complete Edge schedule or a complete Brock Lesnar schedule, but you take that man just the way he is special in what he does. You don't need to make him unspecial by having him appear every fucking week on a Raw or a SmackDown. I am very, very concerned about his possible inclusion in anything main roster in WWE. Toni Storm. WWE decided to use Toni Storm on SmackDown last night when she came out, confronted Charlotte Flair, and asked for a SmackDown Women's Championship. After a lot of anticipation, former WWE NXT superstar Toni Storm got her call up to Friday Night SmackDown. She defeated Zelina Vega in a very quick debut match, and she's garnered a lot of attention just because of how great she is, but she's really done nothing else. So WWE had her in this Queen's Crown tournament, and she lost. She lost in the first round to said Zelina Vega. So she disappeared for many, many, many weeks. She lost the first round of the Queen's Crown tournament when, in all actuality, that should have been a tournament that you give to Toni Storm to build up new superstars, but what the fuck do I know? Toni Storm has not been a mainstay on SmackDown, and nobody knows why. She's been absent from WWE television, and nobody knows why. Ringside News asked around, and people were beginning to ask, has WWE forgotten about Toni Storm? Ringside News exclusively reported that WWE, in fact, has not forgotten about Toni Storm. She simply wasn't booked because there's nothing going on for her going into the Survivor Series, which led to her absence, which I don't necessarily buy either. I'm not saying Ringside News is wrong in their reporting. They usually get their exclusives. The majority of them are correct, but they got a bad rap in the IWC for whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't necessarily blow them off here in this report, but it all goes back to WWE. Why isn't Toni Storm a part of the SmackDown Survivor Series team to begin with? It's what I don't understand. Why is she not on the team? She only makes the team better. No, but you opted to choose Aliyah over Toni Storm, and Aliyah's done nothing on the main roster, and we leave out Toni Storm. So that's their excuse. They got nothing going on for Toni Storm going into Survivor Series. Which then, on the other hand, I look at what happened on SmackDown last night, and Charlotte clearly is going to need baby faces to challenge her for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Sasha's got Shotzi. They got that going on there. There really isn't anybody else on the SmackDown roster ready to challenge Charlotte Flair, but here comes Toni Storm. WWE has now planted the seeds for after Charlotte and Becky get their fucking disaster waiting to happen at Survivor Series over with. Charlotte Flair, day after Survivor Series, or the SmackDown rather, after Survivor Series, will have Toni Storm waiting in the wings to challenge her next as the next babyface for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This could be looked at as WWE putting Toni Storm at a higher level than we originally anticipated. So we will see what happens there. It's exciting stuff to maybe think about. I could see Toni Storm being a SmackDown Women's Champion. I could see her having some really great matches with Charlotte Flair. That's exactly what Charlotte Flair needs, someone like Toni Storm to wrestle. But we all know the entire aura of Charlotte Flair, the entire mentality of Charlotte Flair. She doesn't put over anybody. She refuses to put over any new talent in WWE, and it's probably going to be more of the same with Toni Storm. You know, because Toni Storm is somebody that I could easily see stealing the thunder away from the android. So we will see what happens there, but I don't want to say it's bad. WWE should have automatically had her on the Survivor Series team and then do what they do with Toni and Charlotte Flair after Survivor Series. There's no reason why she shouldn't be involved in everything. She's definitely one of those women that could be an absolute number one in any division. So why isn't she on the Survivor Series card, competing on Team SmackDown, and then challenging Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship? No, you just put her on TV and have her challenge a SmackDown Women's Champion when she's done nothing. But meanwhile, you could have put her in the Survivor Series and had her get 2 or 3 eliminations in that match, kind of solidifying, hey, I'm here and I'm ready to kick ass. I think I should be in line sooner rather than later for a SmackDown Women's Championship. As usual, WWE does things backwards. Always does things backwards. And finally, guys, the big story today. WWE, on social media yesterday, I seen this during the Hog Show, they issued a statement on the quote-unquote erroneous claims by Keith Lee about paying for his medical bills. Now, this is clearly in response to Keith Lee after a statement he put out on social media, which I will read first. He says, and I quote, this week on Twitter, earlier in the week, greetings and salutations. Today is my birthday. It is not a happy birthday, but it is one I am most grateful for. Several months ago, it was not a guarantee I would make it to this day, so there is positivity in that. I paid all my medical bills from the many offices and machines I frequented. There is positivity in that. And I do find it amusing that people believe anyone but me paid for my medical expenses. I was going to wait a couple weeks, but I think it's time to look towards the future. Forward march, as I like to say. I'm capable of so much more, and I can't wait to see what it looks like properly. I have a wide array of interests and abilities. I also consider myself to be rather open-minded. Here's to a future that, for all intents and purposes, seems limited or limitless. I got it in my head that he was limited, Keith Lee, in WWE. Seems limitless, end quote. Lee, obviously, was one of the 18 men released last Thursday as part of a wave of budget cuts. Lee previously stated that he had COVID in January, and the virus led to heart issues that kept him sidelined for several months. That was his statement. Then WWE, I believe I seen this on Andrew Zarian's Twitter wall. WWE released a statement, and they say this, and I quote. Now, this doesn't sound like something from the public relations department or someone from whatever department in WWE. This sounds like, and when I read this and you hear the words in this statement, it sounds like something that either John Laurinaitis or Bruce Pritchard gave as a statement. Listen to this. Keith Lee's recent comments implying WWE failed to pay his medical bills are erroneous. WWE has an extensive healthcare program for the medical care of its in-ring performers, and Mr. Lee was a part of this program while with the company. Should Mr. Lee have any concerns over the payment of his medical bills, he is welcome to address them with WWE, end quote. This is all we know on this. This is all we know on this story. But I know for a fact that WWE has what this person in WWE management said, has an extensive medical healthcare program for its in-ring performers. I get it. I really do. But the thing is, I don't know why Keith Lee, who's always so serious, and if you listen to the man talk and listen to the man speak, always so humble and respectful, and I just don't really see in what we've seen so far in Keith Lee and from Keith Lee and how open and honest he was with his entire situation, which he did not have to do. He did not have to come out and explain what was going on with anybody around him, anything with himself. He came out on YouTube, on his YouTube channel, and he explained to everybody in an 8-minute video that he had COVID. It led to heart complications. That was the reason why he was out for 7 months. He explained Mia Yim stood home with him and bypassed opportunities in WWE to be in the Royal Rumble, to stay home and take care of him. She also got COVID as well. I don't see Keith Lee coming on Twitter and saying what he said and bullshitting about the fact that he paid his medical bills, or that he didn't pay, or WWE didn't pay his medical bills. I don't see Keith Lee coming out and lying about this situation. I don't. WWE, if they paid his medical bills or not, we'll never find out. This is not something that we're going to find out about. This is only one part of the story. This is probably all we'll hear. I have no idea. But I don't think Keith Lee would come out here and bullshit and lie about what he said in this statement. I paid all my medical bills. Why would he say that if it wasn't true? I don't know. In WWE, in the typical business, mentality that they're in, they got to obviously clear the air, and everybody's going to believe the big multi-billion-dollar business, right? Oh, we paid Mr. Lee's medical bills. If he has a problem with medical bills, he should contact WWE and address them with WWE. Of course, WWE's not going to come out and say, yeah, we didn't take care of Keith Lee's medical bills. But I also don't see Keith Lee fucking lying about him, having to pay his own medical bills. I just don't see it. And that comment, Mr. Lee, right? I could see that's no fucking public relations or medical department at all. That sounds like a John Laurinaitis, head of talent relations comment. And it sounds like something Bruce Pritchard would say as well. If Mr. Lee has any concerns over the payment of his medical bills, he should address them with WWE. Maybe we find more about this. I don't know, but my opinion on it is WWE is going to do the business-like thing where they're in the clear and they look innocent, right? But I also don't see Keith Lee lying about having to pay his own medical bills. I don't really get it. It should have been first and foremost immediately WWE taking care of all of that, because he probably got COVID in and around the locker room or traveling with the WWE. And WWE had mega outbreaks. The COVID center down there in Orlando, every other fucking week there was a COVID outbreak down there because of no masks and this and that. And then WWE, obviously, they tried to do a little bit better with that. Now they're mandating vaccines. Masks are still a thing. So it's a little bit better than it was. But WWE, let's not pretend WWE was in the right here during the entire pandemic. They were as lax as anybody, because they're an essential business, right? And they got to be on TV. They gotta adhere to that Fox contract. They're an essential business. So let's not be all, pro WWE here. They were as lax as any sports organization in the world when it came to COVID-19. So much so that Kevin Owens had to speak up about wearing fucking masks backstage and went to Vince McMahon personally to have him. Owens pleaded with Vince McMahon to wear masks and have everybody wear masks because it wasn't being done. Let's not sit here and pretend WWE is in the right. I just don't see Keith Lee lying about having to pay his medical bills. I don't. I really don't. So maybe we find out more about that in the weeks to come, but that is the current story right now. And like I said, I will keep you guys updated on everything regarding that situation. I'm already getting excited about a potential Keith Lee AEW debut. It's not going to happen until February, but I can see him showing up, making a big bang, no pun intended. I could see him sitting down with Mikey Ruckus doing some really cool fucking epic theme song where he's backing the vocals on it. Listen, man, Keith Lee is going to be fine. At the end of the day, Keith Lee is going to be fine. He's got to go through some trials and tribulations. He had to go through fucking hellfire and brimstone with WWE. They clearly did not appreciate him in any which way whatsoever. He was a product of Triple H. He was a product of the Indies. They looked down on that. They got rid of him for one reason or another. They gave him this shit bear cat gimmick, which Vince McMahon lied directly to his face about. So much shit with Keith Lee. At the end of the day, he will be fine. And I'm very excited about the future of big man Keith Lee. Guys, I'm getting out of here. If you enjoyed the podcast today, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think down below about all the top stories in today's episode. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. Go check out all the other videos that you might have missed on the channel. And remember, I will be live tonight for the AEW Full Gear live stream post show with Jesse. Big night where we may see a new AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And when those moments happen and we have a new AEW World Heavyweight Champion, it is mega news, man. So I will be live with Jesse tonight. Make sure you guys RSVP to the venue, and I will see you all later tonight. And again, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Off the Script Extra. I will see you back tonight and tomorrow with more extra right here from the OTS venue. Have a great Saturday, guys, and I'll see you tonight for Full Gear.